All right, let's watch this Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens video. No ad. No ad. Okay.
Video circulating of him calling me a disgrace and a faux professional or whatever it was. And I decided to choose peace. And then when I chose peace, he responded to the peace with not peace.
So why wouldn't he just fire you?
Well, as I explained on Tucker Carlson's show, like Ben doesn't have the power to fire me.
Everybody, I hate to be the bearer of bad news in case you were not aware, but it looks like the much hyped, much anticipated debate between Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens surrounding Israel and anti-Semitism, that's not going to be happening, at least according to a new report by Glenn Greenwald, where he alleges, and I want to be clear that these are all allegations here because officially neither party has confirmed these details.
Wow, that's
but
all the evidence,
to Glenn,
isn't it?
At least the Daily Wire has obtained a gag order against Candace, meaning this debate and any other future debate between the parties is not going to occur. And some real quick background before we jump into the actual article by Glenn, where we last left things with Ben Shapiro, the Daily Wire, and Candace Owens. There was a very public invite to a debate. We see here in response to a clip of Andrew Schultz basically saying that Ben Shapiro is really only good at debating college students. Candace said, "I would like to debate Ben Shapiro on Israel and the current definition of anti-Semitism. Can anybody make that happen?" Now, we're not going to go through all of the tweets because there was a lot of back and forth there. But essentially, Ben said, "Yeah, I'll debate
quit your
you,
job,
Candace,
Yasmin.
this Monday in Nashville.
Congratulations.
Let's make it happen." To which Candace responded, "Actually, I'm not in London, so let's debate, but just at a later time, different platform. I don't want to go to the Daily Wire." Understandable if you ask me, considering that it seems in all likelihood they did fire her for allegedly being anti-Semitic. Tons of quote tweets and replies on behalf of Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens later, with even Daily Wire CEO Jeremy Boring weighing in at certain points. And it seemed like, at least to the public, where things ended was that there was going to be a debate between Candace and Ben, and that it would be on Candace's platform, but it would just be at a later mutually agreed upon date. Very cool. Very exciting. A lot of people, myself included, have been looking forward to that debate ever since. However, that whole exchange took place on April 5th, so going on a month ago. And obviously, there has been no debate that has since materialized. So a lot of people have been wondering what exactly happened. Well, now we have this report by Glenn Greenwald. Now, I actually just recently saw this post by Glenn being shared by him on X. If you don't follow him on X, I recommend you do. He really is a great follow, to be sure. But it says here, as the Daily Wire publicly negotiated a debate with Candace Owens, it secretly sought and obtained a gag order against her due to a prior restraint order against Owens. The much anticipated Israel debate with Ben Shapiro appears to be off. And obviously, like I said, neither Owens nor Boring have confirmed these details specifically.
I'm sure that there's no way that Candace Owens leaked the fact that the Daily Wire got a gag order against her to Glenn Greenwald. I'm sure that didn't happen. I'm sure that Candace Owens is so not pissed off at this situation that she definitely didn't violate the gag order to make sure that Glenn Greenwald had this information. And she probably did it through some mutual friend that they have, because Glenn Greenwald is not on board with this stuff that Israel's doing either. And so I'm sure there was like some sort of intermediary. Of course, like this would never happen. It would never happen that Candace Owens would get one of her friends to, I don't know, contact Glenn Greenwald and tell Glenn Greenwald that the Daily Wire got a gag order against her. Definitely didn't happen.
But Glenn Greenwald is a pretty reputable journalist, and I have a lot of faith in his ability to independently verify things. He's not someone who's just going to post rumors usually. So my money, if I had to bet, would be on this being true, but use your own judgment, grain of salt, etc. It says on April 5th, Candace Owens publicly invited her former Daily Wire colleague Ben Shapiro to debate about Israel and the current definition of anti-Semitism. It says it was Owens' criticism of U.S. financing of Israel and her criticisms of Israel's war in Gaza that caused her departure from the Daily Wire 2 weeks earlier. Both Shapiro and Daily Wire CEO Jeremy Boring responded by saying they would like to arrange the debate requested by Owens. That night, Shapiro appeared to accept her offer. writing, "Sure, Candace, I texted you on February 29th offering this very thing." And the Daily Wire co-founder added, "Let's do it on my show this Monday at 5 p.m. at our studios in Nashville, 90 minutes live streamed." So as we explained, there was back and forth, but they ultimately agreed to the terms, with Boring offering a series of conditions, including a no moderator debate, and with Owens publicly accepting. 2 weeks later, many readers of both Shapiro and Owens noticed and complained that the debate had not yet happened. On April 24th, Owens addressed those inquiries by explaining that the Daily Wire had yet to propose dates, while reiterating her strong desire to ensure that.
Are you going to watch Nick's video from yesterday talking about how Israel would be paying US, not the other way around? I hadn't planned on it, but maybe I could if I don't feel like going to bed first.
The debate happened. And now this, guys, is where things get juicy. But that debate was never going to happen, apparently. That is because the Daily Wire, in secret and unbeknownst to its readers, sought a gag order to be placed on Owens after she had called for a debate. They did this under the cover of secrecy before a private arbitrator at exactly the same time that they were claiming in public that they wanted this debate and were even negotiating the terms with her. To this day, the Daily Wire has not informed its readers, seeking to understand why the much anticipated debate had not yet happened, that they had sought and obtained a gag order against Owens. Now, there's more details here about this arbitration event that apparently occurred. And by the way, if you guys aren't familiar.
Wait, Nick went off? Did he get mad? Did he yell? That might actually be fun. Milo, can you send me a link? Can you DM me a link on Twitter? That'd be pretty great.
Here with a lot of these entertainment contracts, oftentimes if there is a dispute between the two parties, there's clauses that say you're not going to take it straight to court. You're actually just going to go through arbitration. That way things tend to stay a lot more confidential, a lot more private than dragging things through the public courts. Before we carry on, though, I do want to give a quick shout out to Clearly.
No commercial.
Is the Pooh Bars shipping going to save you so amazing you out. Also, description. Placed orders and also left reviews. Currently does products as much as.
Sometimes when you get these like standalone vapes, like sometimes you have to play with them a little bit. They get like clogged up or something, and sometimes you have to just beat it into submission, or it could just be empty. I'm not sure which it is. This is definitely not weed. This is definitely I'm not getting high on the internet. I would never do that. Just to be clear.
As we are, and just a big thank you again for shopping small. And mechanism, the clause of her agreement posed on order supposedly was enforced.
I can't open it.
Seeking this gag order to be imposed on
I'm not going to do that anyway. That's gross.
Her of violating the non-disparagement clause of her agreement with the company. To substantiate the accusation, the company specifically cited Owens' initial tweet requesting a debate with Shapiro as proof of this disparagement, along with concerns she voiced that Shapiro appeared to be violating the confidentiality agreement between them by publicly maligning Owens' views to explain her departure from the company. While the company claimed before the arbitrator that it did not object to the principle of a healthy debate, it urged the imposition of a gag order on Owens by claiming that the way she requested the debate constituted disparagement of Shapiro and the site. So this is kind of confusing stuff, but if you were following Owens, I guess the date.
So the Daily Wire says that the fact that Candace Owens asked for a debate was disparaging to the Daily Wire. So Candace asked for the debate. They accepted the debate. They made it very clear publicly that they were going to schedule the debate. And then they used the fact that Candace Owens asked for the debate in the first place as evidence about why Candace Owens should no longer be allowed to speak about the Daily Wire at all. Yeah, I'm not watching Andrew Wilson. Fuck that guy.
The weeks leading up to the whole debate gate scandal online, you'll know that she actually did publicly call out Ben Shapiro for seemingly discussing her departure from the Daily Wire a lot during different interviews where hosts would ask Shapiro, of course, about Candace leaving. And while he would officially say, I can't talk about that, he would also then go on to voice how, Daily Wire is not a platform, it's a publisher, and therefore it is allowed to curate which views it finds appropriate to have on its own site. So according to the Daily Wire, I'm guessing that enough, like Candace Owens pointing out that, hey, Ben, you're kind of talking about stuff you shouldn't be talking about. That was disparagement. Also, it seems like they're saying the way in which she approached a request for a debate was disparaging in and of itself. And look, Daily Wire, I want to point out, it's not unique in having a non-disparagement clause as part of its contract with different talent. That happens really often all the time. The reason why I'm bringing this up, however, is that if it is true that they sought this gag,
I just want to point out that this whole thing is probably proof that Candace Owens got a massive payout of her contract. Because this, if Candace Owens hadn't gotten a massive payout on her contract when they fired her, then the non-disparagement clause would be null and void because the contract would be null and void.
Order against Candace, the fact that they were publicly acting like they want to have this discussion, they want to have this debate, that, I mean, it seems two-faced. It seems like you're trying to have your cake and eat it too. You're trying to pretend or act like you want to foster this open conversation, have all these debates. Meanwhile, you're going behind the scenes to ensure that this debate doesn't happen. And it actually all reminds me of the scenario surrounding Candace's departure from the Daily Wire in the first place. I think it was in November after Candace made her stance on the whole Gaza situation known, that Jeremy Boring came out publicly and said that, you know, as long as Candace Owens doesn't say anything illegal, she is welcome at the Daily Wire. And a lot of people, I mean, I certainly said kudos to the Daily Wire for saying that. But then just a few months later, they turn around and they fire her. It seems like they know what the popular stance would be when it comes to open discussion and debate, not censoring, not trying to gatekeep conservatism based on this whole Israel issue. So they're trying to publicly keep a very like, oh no, we're open, blah, blah, blah facade, when in reality, they are firing Candace for her views on Israel. They are trying to keep her silent for making it look like, or actually I would rather say pointing out, that the Daily Wire does have this double standard. Glenn continues, though, to justify the gag order. The company also cited various criticisms of the Daily Wire and Shapiro on X that Owens had liked. So even liking certain tweets now was disparaging the company. This proceeding took place as part of an exchange of legal threats between the parties after the public agreement to debate.
Listen, is there anyone here? Be honest. Most of you have anonymous accounts on the internet. Is there anyone here who actually believes the Daily Wire is above board? Is there anyone here who actually believes that the Daily Wire, as an editorial policy, believes in free speech and the open debate of free ideas? Is there anyone here that actually believes that the Daily Wire would put the needs of America before the needs of Israel? Are there people that really believe that, or have we all kind of grown up a little bit in the last several months? And I know, like, not every, like, I've hated the Daily Wire for a long ass time. But I think there's, you know, we can forgive people for not understanding, I guess. But now, seeing what you've seen, listen, you can be on Israel's side. You can like be on the side of Israel and the whole Israel-Palestine thing. I guess I can understand why people might take that position. But can you also just be ethically honest and say that the Daily Wire is absolutely a propaganda outlet for fucking Israel?
About Israel was solidified. Those threats arose from the fact that various Daily Wire executives and hosts in public and private were castigating Owens as an anti-Semite. On March 22nd, Daily Wire host Andrew Klavan published a 1-hour video that hurled multiple accusations, including anti-Semitism at Owens. The Daily Wire cited Owens' response to that video, her defense of herself from those multiple accusations, as further proof that she needed to be gagged. Okay, very, very two-faced there. So on the one hand, Daily Wire people like Andrew Klavan can publicly call Candace Owens an anti-Semite, which, make no mistake, that is what he did, but she can't defend herself lest she be seen as disparaging the Daily Wire. Okay. It says, after the prior restraint hearing sought by the Daily Wire and Shapiro, the arbitrator sided with them and against Owens. The arbitrator agreed with the Daily Wire that Owens' call to debate Shapiro and her follow-up negotiations of the debate constituted disparagement of the company and Shapiro. crazy. The company argued that any further attempt by Owens to debate, as well as her suggesting that the debate would expose the Daily Wire's real priorities, constituted criticisms of the site and of Shapiro. Criticisms that the arbitrator concluded Owens was barred from expressing under her contract with the company. And it says a gag order was thus imposed. Among other things, it bans Owens from saying or doing anything in the future which could tarnish or harm the reputation of the Daily Wire and or Ben Shapiro. Given that the Daily Wire had argued and the arbitrator agreed that Owens' offers to debate Shapiro about Israel anti-Semitism were themselves disparaging, the Daily Wire has ensured the debate with Owens that they publicly claimed to want would not, in fact, take place. Look, guys, I know at this point, a lot of you probably feel like I have a bee in my bonnet about the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro.
That's okay,
and
Lauren.
honestly,
It's all good.
you'd be right. I do find this type of
Good
behavior
self-awareness.
hypocritical and two-faced and very similar, if not identical, to the type of cancel culture that we see the left pushing. Because it's not just that Ben Shapiro doesn't want to debate Candace
Fucking based Lauren Chen, man. Lauren Chen, the hero we need.
Owens about Israel and anti-Semitism. If Ben only wants to debate blue-haired college liberals, that's totally his MO. It's that he publicly said he would do it. He wanted to do it. And he actually made it seem like, oh, I've been trying to debate you for a while. You're the one who didn't want to do it. But simultaneously, they're going behind the scenes and they're trying to ensure that this debate doesn't happen because they view it as disparaging to dare question or bring up the fact that maybe the Daily Wire's priorities are not with America and free speech and open debate, but actually just with...
Listen, I don't want to jinx anything, and I don't want what I'm about to say to happen. I really don't. I do not want what I'm about to say to come true. I think Lauren Chen's going to get herself fired from the Blaze. I do. I think that Lauren Chen, and again, I don't know anything. I haven't I would never even try to talk to her about this because she and I don't have that type of relationship. Like, I like her and I think that she digs some of my stuff, but like I just like, I wouldn't ask her this question, but I'm positing what I think has probably happened. I would be surprised if Lauren Chen hadn't been pulled into one or possibly more than one meeting about the conversations that she's been having over the past couple months and the things that she's been saying and the people that she looks like she's supporting, like Nick Fuentes. Like, I would be, I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again just in case people haven't heard it who are here. So when I started bantering publicly with Nick, I wasn't saying I agree with him. I was just like, we were just bantering in public and we didn't even know each other. I never even talked to the guy. And you should have seen my DMs, and not just the sheer volume of DMs that I had from people, but some of the people who were like conservative influencers who I knew still followed my stuff, but I hadn't talked to them in like years. They hadn't been supportive. They just followed my stuff so they could copy my ideas. Even those people were in my DMs going, what are you doing with Nick Fuentes? And so like, and I'm like a no one on the conservative right. And that's just fine with me. Like, I like it that way. We broke up. But the reaction by the right for me bantering with Nick Fuentes and a couple tweets here and there, it was bizarre. It was one of the most bizarre things I've ever experienced in my life. And so if I got that reaction, I'm going to bet you that Lauren Chen, who is far more well-known than I am, who is far better connected than I am, who has a lot of connections at every major conservative outlet, who, like, I would be shocked if she hadn't gotten massive backlash behind the scenes. And I, quite frankly, would be shocked if she hadn't been spoken to by people at the Blaze. And if she keeps going, I would be shocked if she didn't find herself out at the Blaze. I don't want any of that to happen. I think Lauren Chen's awesome, but I would be surprised if that wasn't the path that's being walked right now. And she's smart enough to know that. She's smart enough to realize what's going on, and she knows what she's doing, and I'm sure she's very self-aware, so she's making her own choices, man, and I think it's based.
Siding with Israel, however possible. And next it says, when asked for comment to be included in the story, Owens replied, I wish I could comment on this, but I can't. She added, can neither confirm nor deny. And honestly, if there is a gag order against her, this is exactly the type of response we would expect. Boring said,
I'm excited to see Elijah at AFPAC. I was hoping he would go. I didn't know for sure if he was going to, but I was definitely hoping he would. I like Elijah a lot. And then Elijah got into like all the Nick stuff before I did, and he was always more on the right than I was, and he was always much more extreme than I was. But I like Elijah a lot, and I think that he's gone through a lot in the last couple of years. And you know, if we're honest about it, he does bring some of it on himself. But he's still like I've always liked him. He's got a good energy. And I am looking forward to, I think it's going to be interesting. I think the conversation that happens in person at AFPAC is going to be interesting on like several levels.
Your story is inaccurate to the point of being false, though he did not specify a single inaccuracy, nor did he deny the Daily Wire had sought and obtained a gag order on Owens at the same time they were publicly posturing as wanting a debate. Nor did he deny that the Daily Wire had sought and obtained a gag order on Owens at the same time they were publicly posturing as wanting a debate with her. Okay, so I mean, officially there, not only does Boring not confirm this, he says it's...
I think Elijah Schaffer's hot. He's definitely good looking. I would agree with that.
False. What exactly is false according to him? He doesn't specify, but it's worth noting. Glenn, however, on his part says the confirmation we obtained of all these facts is indisputable. It says Boring's also added, I'm sure you can appreciate how fraught a high-profile breakup like this is. For that reason, we are trying to resolve our issues with Candace privately. And Glenn does finish off this article, I think, kind of beautifully with the post that Jeremy Boring had previously posted in defense of the Daily Wire's continued relationship.
Is Elijah Schaffer hotter than Nick? Now you're just trying to get me in trouble. Is Elijah Schaffer hotter than Nick? I mean, okay, so first off, I want to make sure I'm very clear about this. They're both younger than me by like a lot, so I'm not actually insinuating anything. We're just talking here. I'm just giving a perspective, all right? I'm allowed to have an opinion on this topic, even though it is just an opinion. It's just for internet banter at 1 a.m., all right? So I think that Elijah Schaffer and Nick Fuentes are both really good looking in like their own way. And I mean, Elijah's very tall and he's very nice. He's got like just like a very charismatic kind of like personality, and that always makes someone hotter. Nick, I like the fire that Nick has. I currently like Nick's mustache. I think that's a very good look on Nick. I think Nick has like really grown into himself, man. I like a couple of years ago, I would not have said that Nick is hot, but Nick is definitely hot now. And he's going to make some young Italian Catholic virgin submissive girl that's like very, 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 very hot. He's going to make her very happy one day. Do I think Nick has a big cock? Well, I mean, Nick is Italian, and that bodes well for him, I have to say. Like, Italian men, even if they are, like, smaller in stature than other men, Italian men usually fare just fine. So I'm sure it's just fine. Oh, God, I'm definitely not going to get in trouble for answering this question back on the internet. Yes, we're back in high school right now. None of this is going to get clipped out of context. I'm definitely not going to get in trouble. If anyone else has any questions, now apparently I'm in a question answering mood. So do your worst, internet. Do your worst.
Relationship with Owens back then in November. It says, even if we could, we would not fire Candace because of another thing we have in common, a desire not to regulate the speech of our hosts, even when we disagree with them. Candace is paid to give her opinion, not mine or Ben's. Unless those opinions run afoul of the law or she violates the terms of her contract in some way, her job is secure and she is welcome at Daily Wire. Looks like that didn't last long. Okay, so guys, I want to hear what you think about this. Do you think that this is a surprising turn of events? I actually thought that this debate was going to happen and I was excited for it. So the fact that it's apparently dead and gone, never to occur, I'm saddened. But I suppose looking back and seeing how the Daily Wire has behaved around Candace and around this issue, it shouldn't have come as a surprise to me. Maybe I'm still a bit naive about how much the conservative movement and conservative media claims to prize open debate. I also want to know whether you guys believe these reports. Do you think they're accurate? And if so, does this change your opinion of the Daily Wire or Candace Owens in any way? Because I guess to play devil's advocate, and obviously this is not my opinion, there are some people out there who might say, yeah, Candace was wrong to go after a former employer like this, even looking for a debate, because of course it's going to make them look bad. I want to know all of your thoughts down below. Let's try to keep it respectful though, whether you side with Ben or Candace. I'm happy to have you here. I think we can have a nice chat about it, but that's all for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. It helps me out so much. Until next time.
All right. Lauren did a good job.